ready to go tonight to paint with you guys. So I'm going to be switching my camera. So let's see if this is going to work properly. I know I've done it before. So let me take a moment here to do a switch. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. It's probably a little hard to see here. I'm working on Bristol paper, and it's 9.5 by, it's 9 by 12. So one of my favorite types of paper to work on because it's really flat, which a lot of people think is very interesting because I have so much texture in my work. But what I find is that the watercolor paper, it's just too lumpy for me, and it doesn't allow me to create my own texture. So I love the Bristol paper because it's so smooth. Now this side I already put gesso on. I don't know if you could quite see that, but it's got a layer of gesso already on it, so it's ready to go. So I brought with me some paints. Now I love to use Nova Color paints. My absolute favorite ever since I was introduced to them back in 2015. I've got these small, these are more like travel size or test size. I always test out new colors by getting the 4-ounce size. So I wanted to work with kind of a limited palette tonight, but I am so bad because, okay, this is what I consider limited palette. I've also got gesso that I like to use as my white. So I've got that in here. I've got a variety of different brushes here, and my favorite, my rigger here that I love to use. And you could tell I really beat up my brushes. I mean, that's not looking so pretty, but it works great for what I need. I've also got over here, I set aside a few things that I really like to use just so I don't have to dig through and find them. But I keep all of my mark making tools in here. And I like to start with just a number 2 pencil, nothing fancy. And I just come in and I just put down some lines. All right, so this is just, you know, this is probably enough. There is no right or wrong. You know, you could put as much down as you want or as little as you want. Now, the next thing I'd like to do is I'd like to put down black paint. Now, another thing we can do here is I've got a toothpick here. So I like to scratch right into wet paint and continue to build up that texture. So I like to put out a line of paint, and I usually have this in a squirt bottle, but I had this, I was able to find this and I wasn't able to find any other gesso or white paint. So this is what I'm using tonight. And so the reason I like to put out a line of it is because I dip into this white so much. If I create just one pile, then I'm double dipping a lot more. This way I can get some clean white paint by creating a line of it. Okay, now I'm going to put out some colors here. I've got phthalo blue. I'm going to put a little bit of, and this, you know, I really don't put out a lot. I try not to. I usually put out way too much, because it doesn't take much to do this. Yes, I'm a double dipper, so I will go right in and double dip. So look away if you do not like double dipping. Where I'm just going to work with cool colors first is so that I don't create mud. Now, mud is great if you're looking for some neutrals, and neutrals are great when you use bright colors like I do. I love bright colors, but I like to throw in some neutrals, like maybe a gray or a tan, you know, something very simple and neutral. So I'm going to start right in with, I'll grab some white, and I'm going to grab some yellow that had double dipped into blue. And see, I'm looking for a place to create another color. And I'm just going to mix that up right there. And that's a pretty green. I like that. Maybe add some white to it. So immediately I start mixing my colors. I just don't like them straight out of the jar. I like to make my own colors, which just makes me happy. It's part of my process. It's part of the joy of creating art is, for me, is creating colors and finding new colors that I haven't used before, I haven't created before. And I just want variety. And the more variety I have on this earlier layer, the more I have to choose from later on. Now, if I don't put down very much on this layer, I kind of get stuck and I don't have much to work with when I move on to, switching over to my warm colors. All right, so I've got quite a bit down here. I even started filling in some areas just so that I can add more color down. And again, this layer is all about, the more I can put, the more I can pick from later and make some decisions. All right, so I'm kind of filling in some of my corners here. Now I can come in and make some marks through it, which I always like to do. So I'll look at, where does my eye go first that I need to address, and then I'll address that, and then I'll look at it again. Okay, now where does my eye go? What should I do next? All right, so I'm just lightening up, and I know we're probably at the end here, so I decided to come in with some white up here because I talked about values, and I wanted to just show that I like to come in. We definitely have a lot of light here, but I want to pull that in somewhere else over here too.